Hello, welcome to Introduction to Composites. Today is the 5th day of the ongoing week, which is the 9th week of this course, and we have been discussing over this week about generalized Hooke's law, and what we have shown is that for a fully anisotropic material we require 21 independent elastic constants, because the total number of constants initially we have calculated was 81. Because of stress symmetry it came down to 54, because of strain symmetry it came down to 36, and then for strain energy consideration reasons the number finally came down and settled at 21. Now we will look at some special types of materials and see that for those types of materials what are the total number of elastic constants. So, we will start with an isotropic material 21 constants, and for special materials how does this number come down to. So, the first case we will look at is the case of special orthotropy. Okay. Now, what did we discuss in case of special orthotropy? That if I apply an extensional stress sigma, let us say I apply only sigma 11, then it will only generate epsilon 11, epsilon 22, epsilon 33, but it will not generate any shear strains. Okay. So, only extensional stresses cause extensional strains and shear stresses cause shear strains. Similarly, if I pull it in epsilon 11 direction only, then it will generate only stresses in other directions, but it will not necessarily generate shear strains. It will not generate shear strains. Okay. This is what it means. Physically, why would that be possible? Suppose the material is a piece of wood. Okay. And let us say this is my 2 axis, to be consistent with this picture, this is my 3 axis and this is my 1 axis, and suppose all fibers are parallel to 2 axis. So, when I look at this picture and then the fibers at this end they look like this. We just see the tip of these fibers, and the fibers run parallel to the 2 axis. This. So, this is the physical structure, and if I pull such a structure in 2 direction, and I only am pulling it in the length direction, there is no need that we should expect that it should deform in shear, right. Physically, intuitively, that is what we would expect, and that is exactly what we see in actual experiments. So, if fibers are aligned, the material axis is aligned to the 2 axis, then I will not see any coupling between extensional stresses and shear strains, and shear stresses and extensional strains related to the 2 direction. Another scenario could be that all fibers are parallel to 1 axis, then also the coupling between shear and extension will not exist. And another case could be all fibers are parallel to 3 axis. In that case also the same thing would be expected. And then the fourth condition could be combination of these. So, here all fibers either parallel to one axis or two axis or three axis. So, it can be, so you have some fibers going vertically up, another bunch of fibers could be going like this along parallel to the two axis, and the third set of fibers could be going perpendicular, that is parallel to the one axis, but they are not at any angle, they are only running either parallel to one axis or two axis or three axis, they are not at any other angles. And even in this case, if you pull a thing, it will only become longer, it will not, shear stresses will generate only shear strains, extensional stresses will generate only extensional strains, and that is all dependent on the structure of the material and the direction, and if the direction of the forces is aligned to the material axis, even in such a complicated material system, even then shear stresses will produce only shear strains, extensional stresses will produce only extensional strains, right. So, this is what it means. If that is the case, then how do these equations work out? Now, earlier we had shown that the number of, because of strain energy considerations, these are the only independent elastic constants, right, because this matrix is symmetric. So, for anisotropy, full anisotropy, we have 21. Now, if it is especially orthotropic, what will happen? If it is especially orthotropic, let us see how these number of, so what is especially orthotropic? For a material where fibers are running parallel to one axis, two axis, three axis, or all of them simultaneously, but not at some other angle. Okay. So, it is not that some fibers are at 45 degrees to two axis, they are either at 0 or they are at 90. Okay. Those are the only two options available. So, if that is the case, then shear strains and extensional stresses will not be coupled, and shear stresses and extensional strains will not be coupled. That is what it means, which means that this term will be 0, this term will be 0, this term will be 0, because this term couples sigma 1 with the shear strains. Okay. Similarly, this term will be 0, this term will be 0, this term will be 0. Okay. Similarly, these three terms will be 0, because all these terms they couple the shear stresses with shear strains. So, I will put that in a different color. So, all these terms they will be 0. Why? As they couple extensional stresses to shear strain. Okay. And if we want that their connection should be not existent, then these terms have to be 0. Okay. And then there are some other terms which are also going to be 0. So, what would those be? So, these terms will also be 0. These terms will also be 0. Why? Because if you, so consider a situation, this is a material and suppose this is a simple material, all the fibers are running in this direction, and I apply a shear strain like this. This is my 2 axis, this is 1 axis, this is 3 axis. So, I am applying tau 2 3. When I apply tau 2 3 in such a material, the only first thing is there is no extensional strain which will be generated, because I am applying only tau 2 3 and it is especially orthotropic. The second thing is this tau 2 3 will only generate. So, initially the block is like this and later the block will become like this. It will not shear in the 3-1 plane or in the 1-2 plane, okay. And these terms 2-3-3-1, 2-3-1-2, 3-1-1-2, they couple shear in other planes also. So, they will also be 0, okay. So, tau 2 3 will only generate epsilon 2 3, tau 3 1 will only generate epsilon 3 1, and tau 1 2 will only generate epsilon 1 2, okay. So, if that is the case, then the total number of elastic constants in such a case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So, a 3-dimensionally especially orthotropic solid will have 9 independent elastic constants. So, a 3D especially orthotropic material especially orthotropic material, it will have 9 independent elastic constants. Okay. Now, either we can express the equations in the tensor form which we just saw, or now I am going to make my notation a little simpler, because otherwise I have to write sigma 1 1 and then I have to write E 1 1 1 1, E 1 1 1 2 and all that, 4 4 notations. So, in non-tensor notation, in matrix non-tensor form, I will just write sigma 1. Sigma 1 means sigma 1 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, tau 2 3, and here again remember I am not writing sigma 1 2, I am writing explicitly tau 2 3, I am not writing sigma 2 3, tau 3 1 and tau 1 2. So, these are 6 engineering stresses and they are related to a big matrix which is of size 6 by 6, and these are, and the strains are epsilon 1, epsilon 2. So, this is not tensor notation, it is engineering notation, epsilon 3, and here I write gamma 2 3 engineering strain, gamma 3 1, gamma 1 2, and the elastic constants are. So, we are now going to get rid of E notation and we will use C notation, C 1 1. First index relates to stress, second index relates to strain, and there are total 9, right. So, C 1 2, C 1 3, this matrix is symmetric, C 2 2, C 2 3, C 3 3, C 4 4, C 5 5 and C 6 6, okay. And all other terms in this matrix all other terms, this is all symmetry, okay. So, these are the 9 constants, okay. So, this is the stiffness matrix. for especially orthotropic and it is a 3D orthotropic material. So, these are not tensor equations. So, we have used the concept of tensors, we reduce the number of constants to 9 and now we are expressing it in non-tensor notation, you are not using, and this is special orthotropy, which means that the material axes are aligned to the direction of loading. This is important to understand. The second case is we will talk about is transverse isotropy. Transverse isotropy. So, first case which we had discussed was fully anisotropic, then we simplified it and especially orthotropic in 3D. Now, we will reduce it, make it even simpler, and this is the case for a transverse isotropy. So, this is again for 3D materials. So, what does that mean? So I will explain this by example. Suppose there is a material, so let us take a rod, okay. Let us say it is a wooden rod, and this is my axis 1, this is my, so I have just changed the orientation of the axis, this is my axis 2, this is my axis 3, and this is a wooden rod. So, all the fibers are there and they are running along the length of the rod, So, when I see from this end, I just see dots. Each dot represents a single fiber and it is the end of the fiber, and all these fibers are held together by an adhesive, a resin or a matrix material. Okay. Now, think about it. Suppose I take a material like this sample, I take a sample like this. So, I am looking at the rod and I am cutting a material from the end and I take a sample like this. Okay. So, in this case, so this is sample A. So, in sample A, this is my 2 axis. So, it has a thickness. So, actually sorry. So, I will just erase this. So, let us just assume that I cut a sample which is of like this orientation. Okay. This is sample A and it has a thickness in the one direction. Okay. So, how does sample A look? Okay. This is how it looks, and all the dots are here. This is my 2 axis, this is my 3 axis, and this is my axis 1. And now, in this, if I test it, so 2 axis, so 1 axis is what? It is the longitudinal axis, the direction of fiber, right. What is 2 axis? It is, let us say, transverse axis, and 3 axis is transverse prime. Okay. Right. So, if I want to find Et and Et prime, Just by looking at the structure, we will see that Et and Et prime will be same. Okay. Now what I do is, instead of this sample, I take another sample, but so this is sample 1, and then I take another sample, and here, so just to make picture clear, this is my this thing, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and my sample is somewhere like this, like this. So sample 2 is like this. Okay. So, but this normal to the surface is still direction 1, normal to the surface is still direction 1, and if normal to the surface is still direction 1, then I still see all these fiber ends, and if I pull it in this thing in this direction. So, let us say this is direction 2a, and right, this is direction 2a, then Et in direction 2a will be same as Et. Okay. It will be same, because it is essentially the same material, and I have just the orientation and all these things does not matter. So, regardless of this angle theta, as long as I am rotating the sample in the 2-3 plane, right. So, if I am just rotating the sample in 2-3 plane, the material properties along the length of the sample will not change, and this will, so the material properties Et and Et prime will remain exactly the same as long as I keep on changing the material in 2-3 plane, okay, which means that the material is isotropic in TT plane, which means that the material is isotropic in TT plane. That is why it is called transverse isotropy, as transversely isotropic. And if the material is transversely isotropic, then we have to go and see what further simplifications we can make. So, if the material is transversely isotropic, then what does that mean? So, suppose the material is transversely isotropic, then C22 and C33, they will be same, because 2 corresponds to the T axis and 3 corresponds to the T prime axis. So, C22 and C33 will be the same. So for transverse isotropy, C22 is equal to C33. The other condition is C12 and C13 will be same. C1 is 1 corresponds to L direction, 2 corresponds to T direction, 3 corresponds to T prime direction. So, C12 equals C13, that is CLT equals CLT prime. Okay. So, that is there, and C55 and C6 are same, and finally, we can show that C22 minus C233 divided by 2 equals C44. So, this is equal to C22 minus C33 divided by 2. So, in this case, how many constants we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 constants, everything else is expressed in terms of others. So, for a transversely isotropic material, so for transverse actually it is 5, I counted wrong, 5 constants. For an for especially orthotropic in 3D 9, transversely isotropic 5 constants. So, and this is in 2-3 plane. And what are these constants? C11, C12, C22, C23 and C66. These are the 5 constants. What is C22? C33? C33 equals C22, C13 equals C12, C55 equals C66 and C22 minus C33 divided by 2 is equal to C44. Okay. So, for transversely isotropic material, that is the thing. So, we will continue this discussion tomorrow, and tomorrow we will cover 2 more different types of materials. One is isotropic material and the other one is especially orthotropic material in a plane stress state, which is the most important material from the standpoint of this course, and that is what we will discuss tomorrow. And till then, please have a great day, have a great time, and we will meet once again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.